Okay, right here we have the Condor large Huron, 5 1/4 1095 tool steel blade from Condor. It's got a bushcraft, ancient, crafty, primitive flair to it, which it's really attractive. I have to say, it's one of my prettiest blades by far. I just fell in love with the design. It has a few shortcomings, especially on the grind, the way it comes from factory, and also here this beak that amazingly Condor left, and it's so sharp and uncomfortable. It's not present on the smaller Huron, you know, the 4-inch one, the 4 1/4 inch version that has only one wrapping of this pretty cable or wire. So one shortcoming, but back to the looks. This is the prettiest knife in my collection by far. I don't think I've had such a unique piece in my hands before. It just screams primitive. It screams bushcraft, earthy, just nature overall. Combination of mankind, and nature. If that makes any sense. I wish I had better ways of describing the sensation and the look and what it transmits to me, but it's just a beautiful blade, guys. The sheath is it's a solid piece of leather. It's very rigid compared to your typical leather sheath. This is rigid. It's kind of hard to squeeze, so it has a similar lock feel to what you would get in Kydex. You know, obviously mind the difference in material, but it's a similar approach in that this area is very hardened, so as you put it in, it won't come out. It's really well made in that regard. It's securely in place. The belt loop, I would prefer to sit flush with the butt of the handle. That's always my ideal carry. That way it doesn't interfere with your straps. But all right, back to the blade. This is 1095. Condor does not use a lot of blades. It doesn't use that steel a lot. They prefer 1075. I'm assuming for cost reasons. 1095 seems to be a little bit better. So I'm still testing 1095 from Condor. I've had good results with the Pterosaur and also with I believe the low drag is actually 1075. And that impressed me. I have a review out on that knife. It really did well. So I have respect for the heat treatment that Condor puts out. Hopefully this will prove itself to be a good performer over the years. I just love it so much, guys. The form factor, the design, the lightweight. It's a great backpacking option. With a couple of comments, you know, you're gonna see me in the other section of the review hammer pretty bad on the bevel, on the thickness of the convex grind on wood and the way it cuts, because in paper it slices beautifully, but on wood, not at all, man, not at all. I'm not sure what the heck's going on. Do I have the machines and the times and the belts to give it a proper V grind? I do not. I'm a busy family man. I want my blades to come tip-top from factory. I don't want to spend too much time on them other than regular sharpening. I don't have the time to mod, guys. That's just the way I work. So I would prefer, I'm gonna keep it around. I'm just gonna keep it around to patiently and with time give it the proper grinding that it deserves, because I believe the knife is so beautiful that it should stay with me forever. You're gonna see me hiking with it for sure. I believe this is less than 7 ounces. I don't have a scale with me, but that's what I recall. About 3 millimeters, 1095. Long enough handle. Unfortunately, that beak is on the way where the choil is. I may sand that down. However, if you notice, the metal is also part of the beak. So I don't know why they did that. No jimping needed. Do the wires get in the way of comfort? Not as much, not as much. It's actually decent. A little bit square in the back here. I would prefer a rounder profile like you'd normally get in the bush lore and cave lore that we're gonna look at really soon. The handle slopes down a little bit, aiding in comfort. It's not a chopper, but you know, smaller branches and saplings, I guess you could do if you come back. Decently sized lanyard hold. I don't think I'm gonna use it, to be honest, but I have other sheets that sit where this sits perfectly deep on. So after I'm done with the edge work, I'm gonna swap the sheath on this and carry it as a good choice for day hikes and backpacking blade. Absolutely. One final comment on the finishing. It's really pretty, right? You can see this polished section here. I believe that's where the Convex begin. And that's the culprit of just bad performance on wood. Other than that, amazingly pretty design. What did you say? I think so. Thank you. I'm gonna show you now how the grind on the Condor Huron large is not designed well for cutting wood. You know, in my channel, I try to demonstrate cutting performance on wood. It's just something that I often do, and I'm thinking a lot of you guys that are interested in the outdoors will want to see how your knives perform on wood as well. What's interesting here, though, is that on paper, literally, these knives just razor sharp. Look at that. Really sharp. Okay, now check it out on wood. There's something about the grind, that Convex, that Condor put, that it's not cutting well whatsoever. And this is better. I worked a lot on the edge today. I used these Spyderco diamond rods to give it a back bevel of about, I want to say 30 degrees. And then I worked on the medium and ultra fine stones to give it a finishing edge of 20 degrees per side. And it's a lot sharper now than it was in my previous footage when I was trying to carve and do some feathers with it, and it just wouldn't cut. Now I'm cutting a little bit better, so that effort that I put on the edge is paying off. But this is still pretty bad cutting performance, and applying quite a lot of force here. Quite a lot of force. And yes, it's cutting better than before, quite a lot better. But guys, if I show you my Scandi knives, my sharper knives, cutting wood, you would see that it's night and day. So there is some hope. There is some hope. Perhaps I need to apply even more time or more effort into the sharpening of this knife. But it's still far from what I want to see. The first activity will be to carve this piece of wood. I have to say the edge was not up to my standards. I had to touch it up on fine rods and bring it to razor sharpness. It was about 90 to 85% from what I like to see. Kind of an interesting grind. This is kind of, it feels like a convex. Feels like a convex edge to me. I don't detect any Scandi approach to the edge here. I think it's convex, but let's give it a try. This is the large version, over 5 inches, not quite 5.5 as advertised. Very light, guys. Comes in a beautiful sheath. There's a bit of a high carry, as you can see. But if you have other sheaths around, like these. This one, for instance, with a dangler, you can put it in there and it's gonna sit perfectly. But let's begin. I said carving, I'm going to feather, okay? Let's see if I can do a decent job this time. The handle is comfortable. It's a bit of a square here, but it doesn't feel bad just because of the thickness. But man, the edge is not doing it for me here. I don't know if they changed the grind compared to the smaller Huron, but on this one there's something odd about the way it's cutting. You may say that it's my technique, and obviously that has something to do with it, but if I did this with a Mora or a Terrasur or another Scandi grind, you would notice quickly that it's not necessarily all me. There's something about the convex edge here that's not lending itself to feathering. I got some on the ground, but not many. All right, so you saw what it could do. Let's now carve and go really deep bites and go do deep bites into the wood. Let's see. Okay, just gonna grab it like this. Strange performance. Oh man, this is not cutting that well. It's not cutting that well. It's not cutting whatsoever. Man, don't tell me I need to work on the edge. For a Condor, this is not a cheap knife, guys. It's not close to $100, but it's not 40. Okay, so we should be cutting better. Should be cutting better, man. Come on, Condor. You've got the looks, you've got the lightweight, you've got the personality, you've got 1095 steel. What's going on with the edge?